The first breath. The world was silent, not the silence of emptiness, but of waiting. The earth was fresh, damp with morning dew. A warm light poured through the trees, shimmering over a river that split into 4 streams. Creation was complete, yet something was missing. Then the Eternal knelt in the dust. With hands that shaped galaxies, he molded the earth into the form of a man. His touch was gentle, deliberate. Then God breathed, a deep sacred breath, and dust became life. Adam gasped his first breath. His chest rose. His eyes opened to a world that was bursting with color and sound, the rustle of leaves, the song of birds, the river's rhythm. The first thing he saw was light, the next, the face of his Creator. And God smiled. "You are alive. You are mine." Days in Eden were not counted by clocks, but by beauty. Adam learned the world like a child discovering wonder, walking among lions that purred, elephants that knelt to drink beside him, and trees that offered fruit sweeter than honey. He worked the soil, but it was not toil, it was joy. Every seed he planted sprang to life without resistance. Every creature came to him for a name. He looked into their eyes, the eagle, the ox, the deer, and spoke names that felt like poetry. Yet even in the perfection of paradise, a strange ache began to form, a quiet longing. It is not good that man should be alone. One evening, as the light of day softened into gold, Adam lay down in the garden. God caused him to fall into deep sleep. He dreamed of laughter, of companionship, of something missing being made whole. When he awoke, she was there. Eve stood before him, her eyes alive with wonder, her face reflecting the same divine breath that gave him life. She was like him, yet not him, delicate but strong, curious and radiant. Adam whispered, almost in awe, "This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh." And for the first time the word love found meaning. They walked together through Eden, hands intertwined, learning its rhythms. They laughed when the dolphins danced. They sang when the wind played through the trees, and every evening they heard the voice of God walking in the garden. They had no fear, no shame, no secrets. Their hearts were unbroken, and their souls at rest. But one morning, in the quiet space between trust and curiosity, came a whisper. The serpent moved like shadow, silent, graceful, deadly. He found Eve near the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, its fruit glistening with forbidden allure. Did God really say? Eve hesitated. The words lingered, soft but sharp. She remembered God's command, yet the fruit looked so harmless, so beautiful. "You will not die," the serpent said. "You will be like God, knowing good and evil." And for the first time, Eve looked at God's command, not with gratitude, but with doubt. She touched the fruit. It was cool, fragrant. She took a bite. Then she gave some to Adam, who, though knowing what was forbidden, chose her over obedience, and heaven grew silent. The garden changed. The light dimmed. The air, once sweet, grew heavy. The laughter of the animals faded into the distance. Adam and Eve looked at one another, and for the first time they saw themselves differently. Innocence gave way to shame. They ran for the trees, sewing fig leaves to hide their nakedness. Then they heard the sound, the familiar voice of God walking in the garden. But instead of joy, fear gripped their hearts. "Adam, where are you?" The voice wasn't angry. It was grieving, the way a father calls for a lost child. "I heard you and I was afraid, because I was naked. So I hid." And with those words, something broke in creation. Not just the relationship between man and God, but between all things. God looked upon them, not with fury, but with sorrow. The serpent's lies had done their work. The curse came, but so did mercy. Pain would enter childbirth. The ground would resist man's labor. Thorns would grow where flowers once bloomed. And death, the one thing they had never known, would now claim their bodies. Yet even in judgment, God spoke hope. "The seed of the woman will crush the serpent's head." It was a promise, faint but alive. The first prophecy of redemption. Then God did something tender. He clothed them, not with leaves, but with garments of skin. The first blood was shed, a foreshadowing of the Lamb who would one day die to cover humanity's shame. And then, with heavy hearts, he sent them out of Eden. An angel with a flaming sword stood at the entrance, guarding the way back. The world outside was colder, rougher, filled with shadows, but it was not without God's presence. They built a small home near the river. The soil was hard now. Adam's hands bore calluses. Eve's body ached with labor, yet her eyes still glowed when she spoke of hope. Years passed. Children were born, first Cain, then Abel. They laughed again, though the laughter was sometimes mixed with tears. They taught their children about Eden, the beauty, the peace, the sound of God walking near, but they could not return. And one day their hearts would break again, when sin's curse would reach their sons and Cain would strike Abel down. Eve wept as she never had before, her cries echoing across the valley. Adam sat beside her, silent, his heart heavy with the weight of his choice long ago, yet even through grief, a seed of hope remained. "The Lord has given me another son," Eve would later say, Seth. And from his line, the promise of redemption would continue. The longing for Eden Adam grew old. His beard turned white, his hands trembled. He often sat beneath the open sky, looking toward the east, where the light of Eden once shone. He would close his eyes and remember the garden, the voice, the beauty that once was. And though he could never return, he believed someday someone would. Someone would open the way back to God. Someone would crush the serpent once and for all. And through the ages that promise lived on, until another man came called the second Adam, who would take the curse upon himself and make all things new. The story of Adam and Eve isn't just about failure, it's about love, loss, and redemption. It is about how the first humans carried both the image of God and the weight of sin, and how, even in exile, they never stopped longing for His presence, because deep down we were all still longing for Eden, for that place where we walk with God in peace again. If this story touched your heart, don't stop here. Like, share, and subscribe for more powerful Bible stories brought to life. Tell us in the comments, what moment in Adam and Eve's story spoke to you most?